Becoming the person you needed.
Introduction. Becoming the person you needed. There comes a moment in every life when silence feels louder than words. You sit alone, maybe late at night when the world is quiet and something inside you whispers, "There has to be more than this." You can't always explain what this is. Maybe it's sadness, maybe it's confusion, or maybe it's just an empty feeling that sits in your chest. You look back at the road behind you and realize how many times you smiled when you were hurting, how many times you said, "I'm fine," when you weren't. You remember the days you needed someone to be there for you, someone to listen, to guide you, to tell you that everything would be okay. But sometimes, no one came. Or maybe people did come, but they didn't stay. And each time they left, a part of you started to believe that you weren't worth staying for.
Life has a way of shaping us through pain. The people who hurt us, the times we failed, the dreams that slipped away, they all leave marks. Some are deep, some are invisible, but they change the way we see the world. At some point, you might start building walls, not because you enjoy being alone, but because you're afraid of being hurt again. You smile, you laugh, you move on, but a small voice inside keeps asking, "When will I feel truly whole?" This book is for that voice. It's for the child you once were, who needed love but didn't always receive it. It's for the teenager who tried to fit in but always felt different. It's for the adult who learned to survive but forgot how to live. It's for every version of you that was told to be strong, even when all you wanted was to be understood. Becoming the person you needed isn't about pretending that everything is okay. It's about facing what isn't. It's about walking back through your own story with open eyes and an open heart. It's about forgiving yourself for the times you didn't know better, for staying where you should have left, for loving people who didn't love you back, for blaming yourself for things that were never your fault. Healing doesn't happen in a day. It's not a straight line or a quick solution. Sometimes it's messy. Sometimes it's slow. But it always begins with honesty, the kind of honesty that says, "Yes, I'm hurt, but I'm still here." Maybe you learned early that to be loved, you had to be perfect. Or maybe you learned that to be safe, you had to stay small and quiet. But the truth is, you don't have to be perfect to be loved. And you don't have to be small to be safe. You deserve to take up space in this world. You deserve peace, laughter, and gentle mornings. There is power in realizing that the person you have been waiting for, the one who will understand you, support you, and believe in you, can be you. That's what this journey is about. You are not here to become someone new. You are here to return to yourself, the real you, the one beneath the fear and pain, the one who has always been enough. Think about it. Every time you survived something you thought would break you, who carried you through it? Every time you cried and then wiped your own tears, who stayed? Every time you decided to keep going, even when you didn't know how, who made that choice? You did. You've been stronger than you give yourself credit for. We often think healing means fixing what's broken, but maybe healing means learning to love yourself while you're still healing. Maybe it means sitting with your pain without running from it. It means giving yourself permission to feel, to cry, to rest, to breathe. Because those moments don't make you weak, they make you human. So take a deep breath. You don't need to have everything figured out right now. You don't need to know what the next step will look like. You just need to know that it's okay to start. You can begin again, even after everything. In these pages, we'll talk about what it means to face your past without letting it define you. We'll talk about forgiving others,
but also about forgiving yourself. We'll learn how to listen to your inner voice, how to set boundaries, and how to rebuild trust in people, in life, and most of all, in yourself. There will be moments when you'll see parts of yourself you've tried to hide. That's okay. Growth doesn't come from hiding. It comes from acceptance. When you can look at your scars and say, yes, that happened to me, and I'm still here, that's when you begin to take your power back. Becoming the person you needed means choosing to treat yourself with the same kindness you would give to someone you love deeply. It means talking to yourself gently when you make mistakes. It means encouraging yourself when you feel lost. It means remembering that you deserve the same care, patience, and understanding that you've given to others for so long. Sometimes healing looks like crying. Sometimes it looks like starting again. And sometimes it simply means sitting with yourself and saying, I'm proud of how far I've come. If you're reading this, it means you've already taken the first step. You've chosen yourself. You've decided that your story isn't over yet, that there's still something inside you worth saving, worth growing, worth loving. And there is. You don't have to wait for someone to fix you or complete you. You are not broken. You are becoming. You are learning, growing, and rising into the version of yourself that knows peace, that knows love, and that knows strength. Let this book be your companion, not as a teacher, but as a friend. Read it slowly. Pause when you need to. Reflect. Write. Breathe. There are no rules here, only reminders that you are capable of building a life that feels right for you. Maybe you'll find answers in these pages, or maybe you'll find questions that guide you closer to your truth. Either way, by the end, I hope you will see that you don't need to wait for anyone else to make you feel whole. You are already becoming the person you needed. You are your own home. You are your own safe place. And that, perhaps, is the most beautiful thing you could ever become. The moment you realize something's missing, understanding why we feel incomplete and where the pain begins. Chapter 1. Opening Reflection. There are moments in life when the world feels quieter than usual, when the noise of daily life fades and you are left alone with your thoughts. It is in these moments, often unremarkable to the outside eye, that a subtle yet undeniable feeling begins to grow inside you, a whisper, soft yet undeniable, that something is missing. You may not know what it is. You may try to ignore it. You may distract yourself with work, friends, social media, or the endless tasks that fill your days. But in the small, quiet spaces, early in the morning before anyone wakes, or late at night when everyone else has gone to bed, that whisper can no longer be silenced. You notice it first in the little things. The morning coffee tastes flat. The sunlight streaming through your window seems dimmer than it should be. You laugh at a joke, but the laughter feels hollow. You scroll through pictures of other people's lives and wonder, not for the first time, why your own feels incomplete. There is no disaster, no tragedy, no reason that everyone else seems to have figured out that you have not, and yet you feel the emptiness pressing against you, a silent question hovering over your days. Why doesn't this feel like enough? Sometimes the feeling comes as a gentle ache, like a low hum under the surface of your daily life. Other times it crashes over you suddenly, like cold water, making your chest tighten and your vision blur with tears you didn't realize were waiting to fall. You may push it away, telling yourself it's temporary, that everyone feels this way sometimes. But the truth is, this ache is not temporary. It is your soul's quiet signal that something has been missing for longer than you may realize. Let this book be your companion, not as a teacher, but as a friend. Read it slowly. Pause when you need to. Reflect. Write. Breathe. There are no rules exterior. You feel it. The quiet longing for something more, for something real, for something that fills the spaces that have always felt empty. In these quiet moments of reflection, you may begin to notice patterns. Perhaps you feel restless, always moving from one task to the next, chasing goals that don't truly satisfy you. Perhaps relationships seem unsatisfying, leaving you lonely even when you are surrounded by people. Perhaps you feel a subtle anxiety, a low-grade dissatisfaction, as if you were living someone else's life rather than your own. And beneath all of it lies the understanding that something is missing, not a thing, not a person necessarily, but a connection to yourself, a connection to your own needs, your own worth, your own voice. This is where many of us live, day after day, not fully aware that what we are seeking externally may have always needed to be found internally. We look to others to fill the voids we feel. We hope that love, success, validation, or recognition will finally make us feel whole. We chase experiences, possessions, or approval, thinking that if we get enough, we will finally quiet the ache inside. But as you have likely discovered, nothing external can completely fill the emptiness that arises from not knowing, loving, and supporting yourself first. The feeling of something missing can also be confusing because it often does not have a clear name. It is not sadness in the conventional sense, nor is it anxiety in the usual way we understand it. It is a sense of incompleteness, a quiet questioning of life's meaning and your place within it. You may notice it in subtle ways: a hesitation in making decisions, a fear of being truly seen, a tendency to settle for less than you deserve. These signs are gentle reminders that you are not fully aligned with the person you are meant to be, the person you have always needed to become. And yet there is something beautiful hidden in this ache. There is a quiet invitation in the emptiness, a soft call from within you that whispers, "You are ready. You are ready to find what has always been missing. You are ready to meet yourself." The moment you recognize the gap in your life is also the moment you begin to take responsibility for it. No longer can you hope for someone else to fill it entirely. No longer can you expect the world to provide the understanding, comfort, or support that your own heart has been quietly asking for. The responsibility is yours, and within that responsibility lies your power. This is the beginning of a journey not of acquiring more things, more people, or more experiences, but of reclaiming yourself. It is a journey inward, toward the self you may have ignored, the self that has been quietly waiting to be seen, heard, and loved. It is a journey of becoming the person you needed when life felt too heavy, when no one seemed to understand, when the ache was too deep to name. Take a moment and breathe. Feel the weight of the silence around you. Listen to the whisper inside that has been present for years, even if you didn't notice it before. This whisper is the voice of your deeper self, your soul's quiet longing, asking you to pay attention. It asks you to slow down, to notice, and to reflect. This is the invitation you have been waiting for, a call to acknowledge the emptiness, not to fear it, but to understand it as the first step toward growth. In the coming pages, we will explore how to recognize what has been missing in your life, how to gently confront the gaps that have shaped you, and how to begin the process of healing from within. But before any action, before any change, there is awareness, there is acknowledgement, and there is the courage to face the quiet truth: something has been missing, and that is okay. You are ready to find it. It is in this quiet, reflective space that transformation begins. It begins not with grand gestures, but with a small, honest acknowledgement of where you are right now. It begins with noticing the ache and understanding that it is not a weakness, it is a signal. It is a signal from your soul guiding you toward wholeness. And as you take the first step in noticing this missing piece, you are already on the path toward becoming the person you have always needed: compassionate, strong, understanding, and fully present for yourself.
The path ahead will not always be easy. There will be moments of doubt, moments of fear, and moments when the ache feels overwhelming. But remember this: the fact that you recognize something is missing is proof of your readiness. You are ready to face what has been hidden. You are ready to heal what has been neglected. You are ready to embrace the person within you who has always longed to be seen, loved, and nurtured. And so, here begins your journey. It begins in this quiet space, in this moment of reflection, where you allow yourself to feel the emptiness, to see it clearly, and to honor it. The emptiness is not your enemy, it is your guide. Listen to it, learn from it, and allow it to show you the way forward. Because on the other side of this reflection, on the other side of this quiet acknowledgement, lies the person you have always needed to become. Chapter 2: Recognizing the Signs. Sometimes the missing piece in life is not obvious. It doesn't announce itself with loud alarms or dramatic gestures. Often it comes quietly, through small, subtle signals that we are prone to overlook. We mistake them for ordinary feelings, for tiredness, or for the natural course of life. But these quiet signals are not random. They are your soul's way of asking for attention, your inner self calling for care, understanding, and recognition. You may notice the first signs in your daily routines. Perhaps you feel restless even when everything is going, quote, well. You have a job, friends, a life that looks fine from the outside, yet inside there is a subtle dissatisfaction. You wake up in the morning and instead of feeling excitement or curiosity for the day ahead, you feel a heavy sense of monotony. You move through tasks almost mechanically, going through the motions without truly experiencing them. Laughter feels muted, joy feels temporary, and the things that once brought satisfaction now seem hollow. Another sign is the sense of repeated patterns in your relationships or life choices. Do you find yourself drawn to people who don't value you, who leave you feeling unseen, or who repeat the same behaviors that hurt you? Do you notice that certain situations in your life keep repeating, no matter how hard you try to change them? These are not coincidences. They are reflections, mirrors showing you the areas of your life where your own needs have been ignored or unmet. They are invitations to look deeper, to pay attention, and to begin the process of change. Often, we also feel this emptiness in the form of subtle anxiety or unease. There is a constant low-level tension, a feeling that something is just not right. It may manifest as overthinking, sleepless nights, or a restless mind that refuses to settle. You might find yourself comparing your life to others, thinking they have it all figured out while you struggle to understand your own path. These thoughts are not signs of weakness. They are signals. Your mind and heart are alerting you to the fact that something essential is missing, something that cannot be found outside of yourself.
Loneliness, too, is often a sign, not necessarily the kind that comes from being physically alone, but a deeper sense of isolation, even when surrounded by people. You may feel disconnected in conversations, distant in gatherings, or emotionally unavailable even to those you love. This loneliness is not a punishment. It is an indicator that your inner self craves attention, love, and recognition. It is a reminder that before seeking fulfillment from the outside world, you must first reconnect with yourself. Sometimes the signs are physical or emotional too. You might experience sudden fatigue, stress, irritability, or a lack of motivation. Perhaps you struggle with emotional highs and lows, feeling overwhelmed by seemingly small triggers. These experiences are not flaws. They are messages from your body and mind. They are evidence that the inner world has been neglected and that attention, care, and healing are required. Recognizing these signs is the first step toward change. It is an act of courage because it requires honesty, a willingness to look at your life without excuses, without distractions, and without blaming others. It means asking yourself hard questions. Why do I feel restless? What am I avoiding? What have I been neglecting within myself? It means being willing to sit with discomfort, knowing that growth often begins in the spaces that feel uncomfortable or unfamiliar. Awareness is the doorway. Once you recognize these signs, you begin to see life differently. You notice moments when your energy dips, when your joy fades, when your relationships leave you feeling unseen. You start to understand that these experiences are not random. They are guiding you toward the areas of your life that need attention. You realize that the ache, the restlessness, and the emptiness are not weaknesses. They are opportunities to reconnect with your deeper self. Recognizing the signs also involves noticing your patterns of self-neglect. Perhaps you put others first so often that your own needs remain unmet. Perhaps you avoid asking for help because you believe you should be able to handle everything alone. Perhaps you have spent years prioritizing external achievements over inner fulfillment. These patterns, once recognized, become the roadmap for the journey ahead. They highlight the areas where you have not been the person your younger self needed, the person your heart has been quietly waiting for. And as you notice these signs, it is important to approach them with compassion, not judgment. You may feel frustration, regret, or sadness about how long these needs have gone unmet. These feelings are natural, but they should not overshadow the hope that is emerging. The very fact that you are recognizing these patterns, acknowledging the ache, and paying attention to your inner life is proof of readiness. You are ready to begin a journey toward wholeness, toward healing, and toward becoming the person you have always needed. The missing piece has always been a teacher, not an enemy. It has been guiding you, gently and persistently, toward self-awareness, growth, and transformation. By paying attention to these signs, you are answering its call. You are saying, I am ready to understand myself. I am ready to heal. I am ready to become the person I have always needed. From this awareness, the path forward begins to take shape. You may not have all the answers yet, and that's okay. You may feel unsure or hesitant, and that is natural. But the recognition itself is powerful. It is the spark that ignites the journey, the first step toward reclaiming your life, your voice, and your self-worth. So, pause for a moment. Look at your life through this new lens. Notice the patterns, the restlessness, the quiet dissatisfaction. Notice the times you sought fulfillment outside of yourself and came away feeling empty. Notice the subtle ways your body and mind signal that something has been missing. And as you do, remember, These signs are not evidence of failure. They are evidence of awareness. They are evidence that you are ready to embark on the journey toward becoming the person you needed: compassionate, strong, self-aware, and whole. This recognition is not the end. It is only the beginning, but it is a powerful beginning because it means that you are no longer ignoring the quiet whispers of your soul. You are no longer pretending that everything is fine when it is not. You are listening, observing, and preparing to take the steps that will lead you toward true fulfillment. The journey ahead will ask for courage, honesty, and patience. It will require you to confront parts of yourself you may have ignored or denied. But it will also offer the most profound reward: the chance to reconnect with yourself, to heal what has been broken, and to become the person you have always needed. Chapter 3. The Inner Child. There is a part of you that has always been there, quietly observing your life from within. It is small, vulnerable, and deeply sensitive. It is the part of you that laughed without reservation, cried without shame, and dreamed without limits. This is your inner child, the authentic, unguarded self that existed long before the world taught you to hide, protect, or numb your emotions. For many of us, this child has been neglected, overlooked, or silenced, and yet it continues to live within us, waiting patiently to be seen, heard, and loved. To meet your inner child, you must first slow down. In the rush of daily life, it is easy to overlook this presence. We are taught to prioritize responsibilities, achievements, and the expectations of others, leaving little space for the quiet whispers of our own hearts. But these whispers are not trivial. They are the echoes of unmet needs, unspoken fears, and unrealized potential. Your inner child carries the memories of moments when you felt unseen, unheard, or unloved. Moments that might have seemed small at the time but left lasting impressions. Perhaps you remember the times you wanted comfort but were told to be strong or stop crying. Perhaps you longed for encouragement that never came, for validation that was withheld, or for attention that was directed elsewhere. Maybe you were praised only for achievements, but your emotions, dreams, and struggles were ignored. These experiences are not your fault. They are part of the human journey, but they shaped the ways you view yourself, the world, and the relationships you form. The inner child carries these stories not to haunt you, but to guide you toward healing. Recognizing your inner child is like meeting an old friend you have not seen for years. At first, it may feel awkward or unfamiliar. You may notice hesitation, resistance, or even fear. That is natural. After all, this part of you has been wounded, cautious, and protective for a long time. It has learned to survive by staying hidden. And yet it is patient, persistent, and longing for your attention. To begin connecting with your inner child, start with awareness. Notice the ways your past influences your present. Do you struggle with self-doubt, fearing that you are never enough? Do you find yourself seeking approval or validation from others, even when it leaves you drained? Do certain triggers, a harsh word, a feeling of rejection, or a sense of abandonment ignite emotions that feel too large or confusing for the present moment? These responses are often echoes of unmet needs from childhood. They are the inner child speaking through the language of emotion, reminding you that the past is still part of your inner landscape. Journaling can be a powerful tool for reconnecting with your inner child. Write letters to yourself as if you were writing to the young version of you who needed comfort and understanding. Tell them that you see them, that you acknowledge their pain, and that you will be there for them now. Ask them what they need from you in the present moment. These exercises are not just symbolic, they are transformative. They help you develop a compassionate inner dialogue, replacing self-criticism with understanding and care. Visualization is another way to meet your inner child. Close your eyes and imagine yourself as a young child. Picture their surroundings, their expressions, their posture. Notice how they feel, what they might be longing for, and how they respond to the world around them. Then imagine offering them the love, support, and validation they needed but may not have received. Speak to them softly in your mind. I am here. You are safe. You are loved. I will not abandon you. These moments may feel strange at first, but over time they become a bridge between the past and present, allowing healing to flow gently through your life. It is important to understand that the inner child is not just a memory. It is a living part of you that influences your decisions, reactions, and feelings every day. When you feel anxious, fearful, or unworthy, it is often your inner child reacting to situations that remind them of past pain. By acknowledging this presence and responding with care, you break patterns of self-neglect and self-criticism. You begin to nurture the parts of yourself that have long been waiting for attention. Many of us have been trained to dismiss our inner child, to prioritize external accomplishments over internal healing. We are told to grow up, be practical, or move on, as if acknowledging our own vulnerability is a weakness. But true growth begins with this very acknowledgement. Meeting your inner child is not regression, it is empowerment. It is recognizing that the strength to heal, to love, and to thrive exists within you, nurtured by your own compassion and presence. Healing the inner child also means forgiving the adults, including ourselves, who may have unknowingly caused harm. We are all products of our circumstances, often doing the best we can with the awareness we have at the time. By forgiving, we release the burden of resentment and allow ourselves to fully embrace the love and care that we may have been denied. Forgiveness does not erase the past. It transforms it into a source of wisdom, resilience, and strength. Connecting with your inner child requires patience. It is a lifelong process, a dialogue that deepens as you become more aware of your emotions, patterns, and needs. Some days the child may feel fragile, fearful, or angry. Other days they may be joyful, curious, and playful. Both expressions are valid. Both deserve attention and care. By consistently nurturing this inner presence, you gradually integrate it into your adult self, creating a harmonious balance between past and present, vulnerability and strength. As you journey with your inner child, you may notice a profound shift in your life. Decisions that once felt uncertain become clearer. Relationships that were previously strained gain depth and authenticity. You begin to act from a place of self-awareness rather than fear, and your sense of fulfillment grows, not from external validation, but from the internal alignment of your values, needs, and desires. This is the transformative power of recognizing and nurturing your inner child. It sets the foundation for becoming the person you needed when life felt incomplete. Ultimately, the inner child is your guide, your teacher, and your companion. It reminds you that vulnerability is not weakness, that compassion is strength, and that your needs are valid. By embracing this part of yourself, you open the door to profound healing, self-discovery, and personal growth. You begin to understand that the missing piece you have been searching for has always existed within you, waiting to be seen, heard, and loved. And so the journey continues. With each act of self-awareness, each moment of compassion, and each step toward healing, you move closer to the person you were always meant to become. The inner child is not left behind. It is brought forward, integrated into your present, and honored as a vital part of your being. This integration is the first true step toward wholeness, toward becoming the person you needed when life felt too heavy, too lonely, or too uncertain. Chapter 4. Facing the Pain. Pain is often the first thing we try to run from. From a young age, we are taught that discomfort is undesirable, that sadness should be hidden, and that struggle is something to avoid. We learn to put on brave faces, to say, "I'm fine," and to push forward even when the weight inside is almost unbearable. Yet the truth is, pain is not our enemy. It is not a sign of weakness or failure. Pain is a messenger, a guide, and sometimes the clearest path toward growth, self-awareness, and transformation. Facing the pain means allowing yourself to feel it fully, without judgment, without avoidance, and without distraction. It is not about wallowing or indulging in misery. It is about acknowledging reality, confronting what has been suppressed, and giving yourself permission to process emotions that you may have ignored for years. Pain often carries wisdom, hidden beneath the hurt. It reveals the areas of your life where needs have been unmet, where boundaries have been crossed, and where self-compassion has been neglected. The first step in facing the pain is recognition. You may notice a physical tightness in your chest, a heaviness in your shoulders, or a restless energy in your mind. These sensations are not random. They are your body's way of communicating with you. Your emotions often manifest physically, signaling that something within requires attention. By recognizing the pain as a signal rather than a burden, you shift your perspective. The discomfort becomes a guide rather than a punishment. The next step is acknowledgement. This can be surprisingly difficult. Many of us have learned to deny or minimize our feelings, telling ourselves that what we feel is unimportant or that others have it worse. But pain, no matter its size or origin, deserves acknowledgement. It is valid simply because it exists. By giving yourself permission to say, "I see this pain, I feel it, it is real," you begin to dismantle the barriers that have kept your emotions locked away. Acknowledgement does not mean you accept the circumstances that caused the pain. It means you accept your own experience of it. Emotional courage is essential in this process. Courage does not mean absence of fear or discomfort. It means moving forward despite it. It is the decision to sit with your feelings even when they are overwhelming, to look honestly at your past and present, and to confront the truths that you may have avoided for years. This courage is cultivated gradually, moment by moment, through small acts of self-awareness and reflection. One of the most profound aspects of facing pain is understanding its origin. Often our suffering is linked to unmet needs, unresolved trauma, or experiences that left lasting impressions. You may recall moments from childhood when you felt abandoned, unheard, or unloved. Perhaps you experienced rejection, neglect, or criticism that shaped the way you view yourself. These experiences may not have been traumatic in the extreme sense, but their effects can ripple through your life, influencing relationships, choices, and self-perception. Recognizing the root of your pain allows you to address it at its source, rather than merely treating its symptoms. Facing pain also means confronting fear, the fear of feeling, of change, and of vulnerability. Many of us avoid pain because it forces us to confront uncomfortable truths about ourselves, others, and the world. We fear that if we truly feel, we may be consumed, broken, or lost. But avoidance only prolongs suffering. True courage is not the absence of fear, it is acting in spite of it. By leaning into the discomfort, you develop resilience, self-trust, and clarity. It is important to create a safe space for this process. This can be a quiet room, a journal, a trusted friend, or a guided practice, such as meditation or visualization. A safe space allows you to face your emotions without judgment, interruption, or distraction. In this space, you can explore your feelings deeply, name them, and begin to understand their significance. You can ask questions like, "What am I feeling right now? Why do I feel this way? What does my inner self need?" These questions, though simple, open the door to profound insight and growth. Another essential part of facing pain is self-compassion. When we confront our own suffering, it is common to encounter self-criticism or blame. We may say, "I shouldn't feel this way," or "this is my fault." But compassion changes the narrative. It allows you to respond to yourself as you would to a beloved friend, with kindness, patience, and understanding. It reminds you that feeling pain is human and that your emotions are valid, worthy of attention, and capable of transformation. Sometimes, facing pain requires confronting the people, patterns, or situations that contributed to it. This does not always mean confrontation in the literal sense. It may simply involve acknowledging boundaries that were crossed, behaviors that were harmful, or decisions that caused suffering. By bringing awareness to these factors, you regain agency over your own life. You learn to separate your sense of self from the events that hurt you, understanding that while you cannot always control what happens to you, you can control how you respond and care for yourself moving forward. The process of facing pain is gradual. There will be days when the weight feels unbearable, when tears come unexpectedly, or when old wounds resurface. These moments are part of the journey, not setbacks. Each time you acknowledge and process a difficult feeling, you build resilience, deepen self-awareness, and strengthen the capacity for empathy for yourself and others. Pain becomes a teacher rather than a prison. Finally, facing pain is not just about enduring it, it is about transforming it. When you confront and process your suffering, you create space for healing, growth, and empowerment. You begin to reclaim parts of yourself that were lost or neglected. You discover strength you did not know you had, and cultivate a deeper understanding of who you are and what you truly need. This transformation is the foundation of becoming the person you needed, the compassionate, resilient, self-aware individual capable of providing the love and support that may have been missing in your life. In embracing pain, you also embrace authenticity. You allow yourself to experience life fully, without masks or pretenses. You accept that suffering is a natural part of the human experience, and you learn to navigate it with courage, wisdom, and grace. The emptiness and ache that once felt overwhelming now become guiding lights, signaling where attention, care, and healing are most needed. Facing the pain is not a one-time act. It is a lifelong practice, a commitment to honesty, presence, and self-compassion. It is a promise to yourself that you will not ignore what your heart and soul have been asking for. It is the moment you stop running from discomfort and start walking toward wholeness. And as you take these steps, you begin to feel something remarkable. The very ache that once seemed unbearable now becomes a source of clarity, strength, and motivation. You realize that facing the pain is not about eliminating it, it is about learning from it, integrating it, and allowing it to guide you toward becoming the person you have always needed to be: strong, compassionate, and fully present for yourself. Chapter 5: The Turning Point. Every journey begins with a single step, and in the journey of becoming the person you needed, that step often comes in the form of a turning point, a moment of clarity, realization, or decision that changes the direction of your life. This turning point may not be dramatic or sudden. Often it arrives quietly, almost unnoticed, in a moment of reflection, solitude, or unexpected insight. Yet its impact is profound, signaling the start of transformation and the reclaiming of your inner power.
The turning point is rarely about external circumstances. It is not always triggered by a promotion, a relationship, or a life-changing event. More often, it is an internal decision, a quiet, powerful commitment to no longer ignore the emptiness, pain, or dissatisfaction that has been present for years. It is the moment when you look at your life honestly and say, "I am ready to change. I am ready to become who I needed all along." For some, this turning point comes after repeated struggles, heartbreaks, or disappointments. Perhaps you have tried to fill the emptiness with external solutions, success, approval, relationships, or possessions, and found that they only provide temporary relief. You may have endured moments of isolation, frustration, or self-doubt, and through these experiences, you begin to recognize a deeper truth. Nothing outside of yourself can fully fill the gaps within. For others, the turning point may be triggered by a single profound realization. It could be a quiet evening alone, a conversation with a friend who sees you clearly, or a moment of stillness in nature where the world feels both vast and intimate. In these moments, you suddenly notice the patterns of your life, the repeated choices, the relationships that leave you empty, the ways you have ignored your own needs, and you understand that the responsibility for change lies with you. This realization, though simple, carries immense power. The turning point is often accompanied by a mix of emotions: fear, hope, excitement, and uncertainty. You may feel fear because stepping into change requires leaving old habits, familiar patterns, and comfort zones behind. You may feel hope because you sense the possibility of a more authentic, fulfilling life. Excitement may arise as you imagine the person you could become, while uncertainty reminds you that the path ahead is unknown. These emotions coexist, reflecting the complexity and depth of transformation. One of the most important aspects of the turning point is self-awareness. You begin to observe yourself with honesty and compassion, noticing your behaviors, thoughts, and patterns without judgment. You ask questions such as, "What am I avoiding? What have I neglected in myself? What am I ready to change?" This self-inquiry is crucial because change begins with awareness. Without understanding the gaps, the pain, and the unmet needs, it is impossible to take meaningful steps toward growth. Another critical element is the recognition of your own power and agency. The turning point is the moment you stop waiting for someone else to validate, rescue, or complete you. You realize that the person you have been seeking, compassionate, supportive, understanding, and strong, can be created within yourself. You understand that you are capable of meeting your own needs, nurturing your own heart, and guiding yourself through life with wisdom and love. This is not a call for isolation or selfishness. Becoming the person you needed does not mean turning away from others. It means cultivating the inner strength and awareness that allow you to engage with the world authentically and healthily. When you can provide yourself with care, validation, and understanding, you are better able to form relationships that are grounded in mutual respect, love, and authenticity.
The turning point is the bridge between the internal work of self-discovery and the external expression of that growth in your life. At the turning point, you may also begin to set boundaries. You recognize that some people, habits, or environments no longer serve your well-being. You understand that saying no to certain things is not rejection, but preservation of your energy, your peace, and your growth. You realize that the path toward becoming the person you needed involves prioritizing your own needs, not out of selfishness, but out of necessity and respect for yourself. Visualization and intention setting are powerful tools at this stage. Imagine the person you want to become, the one who listens, forgives, encourages, and protects their own heart. Picture this version of yourself acting in daily life, responding to challenges with wisdom, and engaging with others with authenticity and empathy. Let this vision guide your actions, decisions, and mindset. The turning point is where awareness meets action, where clarity meets intention. Journaling can reinforce the turning point. Write down your realizations, your commitments, and your intentions. Ask yourself, what do I need to let go of? What patterns do I want to change? How can I nurture myself daily? Who do I want to become? These reflections solidify the internal shift, transforming abstract awareness into tangible steps that guide your journey. It is important to remember that the turning point is not a single, isolated event. It is a process, a series of choices, reflections, and commitments that gradually lead you toward transformation. Some days you will feel empowered, clear, and motivated. Other days, doubt, fear, and old habits may resurface. Both are part of the journey. Each time you choose awareness, compassion, and action, you strengthen your connection to the person you are becoming. The turning point also brings with it a sense of responsibility, not in a heavy or punitive way, but in an empowering one. You become accountable for your own growth, happiness, and fulfillment. You recognize that while the past has shaped you, it does not define you. You have the power to rewrite your story, to heal old wounds, and to create a life that aligns with your authentic self. This sense of agency is liberating and transformative, marking a fundamental shift in how you approach life and yourself. Finally, the turning point is a moment of hope. It is a signal that change is possible, that growth is within reach, and that the person you have always needed can be realized. It is the quiet, unwavering truth that you are capable of becoming whole, resilient, and compassionate, even if you have spent years feeling incomplete, lost, or unseen. In this moment, the journey begins in earnest. Awareness, courage, self-compassion, and intention converge, forming the foundation for the work ahead. You are no longer waiting for someone else to make you feel complete. You are no longer avoiding discomfort, denying your needs, or masking your emotions. You are stepping into your power, choosing yourself, and embracing the path toward becoming the person you needed. This turning point is the spark that lights the fire of transformation. It is not always accompanied by fanfare or recognition, but its impact is profound and lasting. By recognizing the emptiness, facing the pain, and committing to change, you take the first real step toward healing, self-discovery, and personal growth. The person you have always longed to meet is waiting, not in some distant future, but within you, ready to emerge, nurtured by your courage, awareness, and love. Chapter 6. Practical Reflection Exercise. Now that you have explored the quiet ache of emptiness, recognized the signs, connected with your inner child, faced your pain, and experienced the turning point, it's time to take the next crucial step: reflection and action. Awareness alone is powerful, but transformation requires practice. The following exercises are designed to help you internalize these lessons, connect with your deeper self, and begin nurturing the person you have always needed to become. 1. Journaling your inner world. Begin by creating a safe space for writing, your journal, a notebook, or even digital notes. Take a few deep breaths and allow yourself to be fully present. Write about what you have discovered so far in this chapter. Some guiding prompts. What patterns or signs have I noticed in my life that suggest something is missing? When I reflect on my past, what moments make me feel unseen, unheard, or unsupported? What emotions arise when I think about my inner child, and what does my inner child need from me now? Write freely, without judging or censoring yourself. Let your thoughts flow naturally. Even if you repeat ideas or if some sentences seem incomplete, the act of writing is a form of self-acknowledgement. Journaling is a conversation with yourself, a space where your inner voice can finally be heard. 2. Connecting with your inner child. Take a few moments to visualize yourself as a child. Picture their face, their surroundings, and the way they experienced the world. Imagine approaching them gently, offering comfort, warmth, and love. You can even speak to them silently. I see you. I hear you. You are safe, loved, and valued. I will protect you, nurture you, and help you heal. Notice any emotions that arise: sadness, relief, joy, or even resistance. Allow yourself to feel these emotions fully. This exercise bridges the gap between your past and present, helping you integrate your inner child into your adult self. 4. Identifying patterns and triggers. Take some time to reflect on your daily life. Notice recurring patterns, emotional triggers, and moments of dissatisfaction. Ask yourself, what situations make me feel restless, lonely, or unfulfilled? How do I react to stress, criticism, or rejection? Are there relationships, habits, or routines that drain me or keep me from feeling whole? By identifying these patterns, you gain clarity about the areas of your life that require attention. Awareness of triggers and repetitive behaviors is the first step toward conscious change. 5. Setting intentions for change. Once you have recognized patterns and reflected on your inner child, it's time to set intentional goals for nurturing yourself. These do not have to be dramatic or immediate. Even small actions create momentum. Examples include committing to 10 to 15 minutes of quiet reflection or meditation each day, journaling daily about feelings, progress, and insights, saying no to situations, people, or tasks that drain your energy, practicing self-compassion by speaking kindly to yourself during moments of self-doubt. Write your intentions clearly in your journal. Be specific and actionable. For instance, instead of, "I want to feel better," write, "I will spend 10 minutes each morning reflecting on what my inner child needs." Intentions grounded in action create lasting transformation. 6. Reflection prompts for daily practice. In addition to structured exercises, incorporate daily reflection prompts into your routine. Before bed or during quiet moments, ask yourself, how did I honor myself today? What emotions did I feel, and what do they tell me? Did I nurture my inner child in some way today? What am I proud of about myself today? These questions help you build a continuous awareness of your internal state, reinforcing the connection between self-compassion, mindfulness, and personal growth. 6. Practicing self-compassion. As you engage in these exercises, remember that self-compassion is essential. Growth is not linear, and you may encounter resistance, setbacks, or painful memories. Instead of judging yourself for struggles or perceived failures, offer yourself kindness and patience. Say, "It's okay to feel this way. I am learning and I am growing." Or, "Every step, no matter how small, brings me closer to the person I am becoming." Self-compassion transforms challenges into opportunities for insight and empowerment. 7. Celebrating small wins. Finally, celebrate progress. Every time you acknowledge your inner child, face discomfort, or act in alignment with your intentions, you are moving forward. Record these small wins in your journal, no matter how insignificant they may seem. Over time, you will notice a pattern of growth, resilience, and self-love emerging. By completing these exercises, you are actively participating in your own transformation. You are no longer a passive observer of life. You are taking responsibility for your emotional well-being, your healing, and your growth. The missing pieces that once seemed overwhelming are now being understood, acknowledged, and nurtured. Remember, becoming the person you needed is a journey, not a destination. Each step, reflection, and act of compassion brings you closer to wholeness. The exercises in this chapter provide a foundation, a practical framework to begin the process. But the most important element is consistency. The willingness to return to yourself each day, to face your feelings, and to respond with love. Through reflection, intention, and compassionate action, you are laying the groundwork for a profound transformation. You are learning to provide the guidance, comfort, and support that may have been missing in your life. And in doing so, you are slowly but surely becoming the person you have always needed: strong, aware, nurturing, and fully present for yourself. Chapter 1. Remembering your early years. Every journey towards self-understanding begins with memory. To reconnect with the child you once were, you must first remember them, not just the images and events of your early years, but the emotions, sensations, and subtle experiences that shaped who you are today. These memories are the foundation for understanding your inner needs, recognizing the wounds that have lingered, and ultimately nurturing the person you once longed to become. Childhood is a time of wonder, curiosity, and growth, but it is also a time when the world teaches its first lessons about safety, love, acceptance, and disappointment. Some of these lessons are gentle and encouraging, while others are harsh or neglectful. The way you experienced these formative years, consciously or unconsciously, created the framework through which you perceived yourself and the world around you. To begin remembering your early years, start with the simplest approach: reflection. Sit quietly in a place where you will not be disturbed. Close your eyes and take a few deep breaths. Let your mind drift to the earliest memories that come to mind. Perhaps you recall a favorite toy, a particular room, a song, or the warmth of a family member's embrace. Or perhaps you find yourself in a moment of discomfort or fear, a time when you felt unseen, unheard, or alone. Both types of memories are valuable. The joyful ones remind you of resilience and potential for happiness, while the painful ones point to the unmet needs that your inner child still carries. It is important to approach these memories without judgment. Many adults subconsciously minimize or dismiss their childhood experiences, believing they should have been stronger or should have gotten over it. But every feeling you experienced as a child was valid. Your tears, laughter, fear, or excitement were real expressions of your needs and desires. By honoring these emotions now, you begin the process of validating your younger self, something that may not have always been offered in the past. Begin by identifying the environments that shaped your early years. Consider your family, school, neighborhood, and friendships. What messages did you receive about yourself from these spaces? Were they encouraging, critical, or inconsistent? Perhaps there were moments when praise was scarce, or when love felt conditional. Maybe certain expectations were imposed upon you too early, leaving little room for exploration or mistakes. Reflect on how these environments influenced your self-perception, your confidence, and your sense of safety. As you explore these memories, pay attention to your emotions. Sometimes a simple recollection can trigger feelings of sadness, anger, fear, or even joy and relief. Notice how your body responds. Tension in the shoulders, tightness in the chest, butterflies in the stomach. These sensations are echoes of the experiences themselves, and acknowledging them is a vital part of reconnecting with your inner child. Writing is a powerful tool in this process. Journaling allows you to capture memories that might otherwise remain unspoken. Write about the experiences that stand out to you, describing not only the events, but also the emotions they evoked. Use prompts such as, "What is my earliest memory, and how did it make me feel?" "Who in my childhood made me feel safe and loved? Who made me feel uncertain or invisible? What experiences made me feel proud, scared, happy, or sad?" The goal is not to relive trauma, but to acknowledge and understand it. Every memory, no matter how small, carries insight into your needs, patterns, and the aspects of yourself that require care and attention. Childhood memories also reveal the ways in which you coped with unmet needs. Perhaps you learned to hide your feelings to avoid criticism, to overachieve to earn approval, or to withdraw to protect yourself from disappointment. These coping mechanisms, developed out of necessity, may have served you then, but they often carry over into adulthood, influencing your relationships, choices, and self-perception. It is equally important to identify moments of joy and resilience from your early years. Even in difficult circumstances, your younger self experienced love, curiosity, creativity, and courage. Perhaps you found comfort in a hobby, a book, a pet, or a close friend. Maybe you showed bravery in facing challenges that were difficult for your age. These moments of strength are essential. They remind you that the inner child is not defined solely by unmet needs or pain. They carried the seeds of resilience, imagination, and authenticity that continue to exist within you today. Reflection also involves recognizing the gaps between what you needed and what you received. Perhaps you needed more attention, encouragement, or validation. Maybe you needed consistency, safety, or emotional presence from those around you. These unmet needs often manifest in adult life as feelings of emptiness, restlessness, or self-doubt. By acknowledging them, you are taking the first step toward giving your inner child what they were missing, a process of healing and self-nurturing that continues into adulthood. Reconnecting with your inner child also requires compassion. Approach your memories with gentleness, understanding that your younger self did the best they could with the circumstances they faced. Avoid harsh self-criticism or judgment. Instead, offer empathy. "I understand you. I see what you went through. You were doing your best, and you are worthy of love and care." This compassionate perspective lays the foundation for deeper healing and integration. Visualization can enhance this process. Close your eyes and picture your younger self. See them vividly, their face, expressions, posture, and emotions. Imagine approaching them gently, offering reassurance and love. Allow yourself to feel the connection, knowing that this child is still a part of you. Speak to them softly, affirming their worth and acknowledging their experiences. This practice strengthens the bond between your present self and your inner child, creating a sense of safety, validation, and belonging. Another valuable exercise is dialogue. Write or speak letters to your younger self, expressing the understanding, compassion, and support that may have been absent during your childhood. For example, "I know it was hard when you felt ignored. You were brave for surviving that moment, and I see you. You are worthy of love, care, and attention. I am here to give you what you needed then and what you need now." By addressing your inner child directly, you reinforce the recognition and validation that may have been missing for years. This act of self-nurturing is a crucial first step in healing and transformation. Remember, reconnecting with your early years is not about reliving the past or becoming trapped in nostalgia. It is about understanding the foundation of your emotional life, identifying unmet needs, and cultivating the compassion required to nurture yourself now. The child you once were is not lost. They are within you, waiting to be seen, heard, and loved. By honoring them, you begin the journey toward wholeness, resilience, and authentic self-expression. In conclusion, remembering your early years is the doorway to self-awareness and transformation. Through reflection, journaling, visualization, and compassionate dialogue, you reconnect with the child you once were, acknowledging both their joys and their wounds. This chapter is not the end of the journey. It is the essential first step. By understanding where you come from, you gain clarity about the person you are becoming and the love, care, and attention you can offer yourself now. Your early years were a story of learning, adaptation, and resilience. By reconnecting with them, you honor the full spectrum of your experiences, embrace the wholeness of your being, and lay the foundation for the journey ahead toward healing, self-compassion, and becoming the person you have always needed. Chapter 2. Understanding what you needed. Childhood is a formative period in which we learn not only how to navigate the world, but also how to perceive ourselves, our worth, and our place in the universe. Every interaction, every experience, every act of care or neglect leaves an imprint. Some of these imprints are positive, fostering confidence, resilience, and a sense of belonging. Others are less gentle, leaving behind gaps, needs that were never fully met, feelings that were unacknowledged, or moments of longing that were unmet. Understanding what you needed as a child is essential for reconnecting with your inner self and beginning the work of healing. The first step is awareness. Take a moment to reflect on your childhood experiences and environments. Consider the people who shaped your early life: family members, teachers, friends, and caregivers. What were the messages, both spoken and unspoken, that you received about yourself? Did you feel truly seen, heard, and valued? Or did you often feel invisible, dismissed, or criticized? The answers to these questions reveal the foundational needs that may have been left unmet. Unmet needs can take many forms. Emotional needs are among the most powerful and lasting. Perhaps you needed more love, attention, or reassurance than you received. Maybe you craved affirmation for your efforts, recognition for your achievements, or simply someone to listen without judgment. Emotional neglect can leave a child feeling unseen or unworthy, a feeling that often persists into adulthood. Many adults continue to seek validation externally because they never fully received it internally. Another common unmet need is safety, both physical and emotional. A child must feel secure to explore, grow, and express themselves freely. Safety is not only about protection from harm, but also about stability, consistency and trust in the adults around them. When safety is compromised, whether through chaos, inconsistency, or neglect, the child's inner sense of security is weakened. This can manifest in adult life as anxiety, fear of uncertainty, or difficulty trusting others. Validation is another crucial need. Children naturally seek acknowledgement of their feelings, thoughts, and experiences. When a child's emotions are dismissed, minimized, or punished, they learn to hide or suppress their authentic self. This lack of validation often leads to self-doubt and an inability to recognize or honor one's own emotions later in life. Reflecting on moments when you were silenced, ignored, or told to toughen up helps identify the areas in which validation was lacking. Guidance and support are also essential childhood needs. While children crave independence, they also require mentorship, instruction, and encouragement. Supportive guidance teaches children how to navigate challenges, make decisions, and understand the world. Without it, a child may feel lost, uncertain, or overwhelmed, carrying these feelings into adulthood. Perhaps you longed for advice, encouragement, or a steady hand in moments of difficulty, and never fully received it. Affection and connection are foundational human needs. Children thrive on touch, warmth, and the presence of loving caregivers. A lack of physical or emotional affection can leave a child feeling isolated or disconnected. Even subtle forms of neglect, such as limited time, emotional unavailability, or lack of nurturing, can create long-term gaps in the child's sense of belonging. Recognizing these deficits is crucial for understanding why certain adult behaviors, such as seeking constant reassurance or avoiding intimacy, may exist. It is also important to recognize the difference between needs and wants. Needs are essential for healthy development. Wants are often desires shaped by external expectations or personal preferences. A child may have wanted a certain toy, more leisure time, or a specific experience, but the needs that truly matter are emotional support, validation, love, safety, and guidance. Understanding this distinction helps you focus on addressing the deeper, more significant gaps in your development. To explore your unmet needs, consider asking yourself reflective questions. What did I long for most as a child? Were my feelings acknowledged and respected? Did I feel truly loved unconditionally, or was love conditional on behavior or achievement? What guidance or support was missing in my life? Which moments made me feel isolated, invisible, or unheard? Journaling your responses to these questions is a powerful step. Write openly and honestly, imagining that your younger self is reading your words. This practice allows you to validate the needs that were unmet and begin the dialogue of care that may have been absent in your early years. Once you have identified these needs, it is important to reflect on how they may manifest in your adult life. Many behaviors, fears, and patterns are direct responses to unmet childhood needs. For example, seeking external validation, fear of abandonment, perfectionism, difficulty setting boundaries, or avoidance of intimacy can all be traced back to gaps in early emotional support. Understanding this connection is not about blame, it is about awareness. By recognizing the origins of these patterns, you gain the power to address and heal them. Reconnecting with your unmet needs also involves cultivating self-compassion. Your younger self deserves love, care, and acknowledgement. You can provide what was missing through conscious, intentional actions today. This may include affirming your worth, setting boundaries, practicing self-soothing techniques, or creating a supportive environment in your life. Treat yourself as you would treat the child you once were, with patience, kindness, and understanding. Practical exercises can help bridge the gap between recognition and healing. Number 1. Letter to your younger self. Write a letter addressing your inner child directly. Offer words of love, validation, and reassurance. Acknowledge the pain, the unmet needs, and the resilience your younger self demonstrated. Number 2. Visualizing fulfilled needs. Close your eyes and imagine giving your younger self what they most needed. Picture a scene where your inner child is supported, loved, and comforted. Visualize the joy, relief, and security this provides. Number 3. Affirmations for healing. Create affirmations that address your unmet needs, such as, I am worthy of love and care. My feelings are valid and respected. I provide guidance and support to myself with compassion. And number 4. Daily check-ins. Dedicate the few minutes each day to ask, what does my inner child need today? Listen to your emotional cues and respond accordingly. By actively addressing your unmet childhood needs, you begin to reclaim parts of yourself that were neglected or silenced. This process fosters resilience, self-awareness, and emotional intelligence. It also lays the groundwork for healthier relationships as you learn to meet your own needs rather than relying solely on others for validation or comfort. Understanding what you needed as a child is both a reflective and transformative practice. It requires honesty, patience, and courage. The process can stir emotions that may have been buried for years: sadness, longing, anger, or grief. But these emotions are signals of growth and healing. By acknowledging them, you validate your younger self and create a space for nurturing, empowerment, and integration. Ultimately, this chapter is about reconnecting with the inner child not as a passive observer, but as an active participant in your life. You are giving yourself what was missing, cultivating the care and attention your younger self deserved, and laying the foundation for emotional wholeness. The child you once were is not forgotten. They live within you, waiting for recognition, compassion, and love. By understanding and meeting their needs today, you take a profound step toward becoming the person you needed all along. Chapter 3. Facing the wounds you carry. Every person carries wounds from their past, often hidden beneath layers of distraction, busyness, or self-protection. These wounds are rarely obvious. They may manifest as subtle anxieties, recurring patterns, self-doubt, or emotional reactions that seem disproportionate to the present moment. For many, these wounds originate in childhood, moments when needs were unmet, when love or attention was conditional, or when trauma, neglect, or rejection left a lasting impression. Facing these wounds is not easy, but it is necessary for growth, self-awareness, and becoming the person you once needed. The first step in facing your wounds is acknowledgement. Often we unconsciously avoid examining past pain, telling ourselves it wasn't that bad, or I've moved on. Yet unresolved wounds influence thoughts, feelings, and behaviors in ways that may not be immediately apparent. By acknowledging that the pain exists, you take the first step toward healing. This does not mean you are weak or damaged. It means you are courageous and willing to confront the truth of your own experiences. Childhood wounds can take many forms. Emotional neglect, criticism, and conditional love are common sources. Perhaps you were rarely praised for your achievements, scolded for expressing your emotions, or given love only when you met certain expectations. These experiences can create an inner narrative that says, I am not enough, I must earn love, or my feelings don't matter. Recognizing these patterns allows you to separate the truth from the story your mind has been repeating for years. Trauma, whether overt or subtle, also leaves lasting marks. Traumatic events might include abuse, witnessing conflict, loss, or sudden separation from a caregiver. Even events that seem small in isolation, frequent criticism, bullying, or neglect can accumulate into deep emotional scars. These wounds may appear as difficulty trusting others, fear of intimacy, perfectionism, or self-sabotage. Facing them requires patience, self-compassion, and sometimes professional support, but it is essential for reclaiming your sense of self. Facing your wounds also requires emotional honesty. You may feel anger, sadness, fear, or even shame as you reflect on your childhood experiences. These emotions are natural and valid. Suppressing them only prolongs suffering. Allow yourself to feel fully, knowing that your emotions are a guide to what needs attention and healing. Sometimes, writing down these emotions in a journal or expressing them through creative outlets such as art, music, or movement can help release and process them safely. Self-compassion is critical when confronting wounds. Your younger self endured challenges that they could not control, often without the tools or support needed to cope effectively. Approach your past with kindness rather than judgment. Speak to your inner child as you would to a beloved friend. I see your pain. I understand what you went through. You were brave and you did your best. This compassionate perspective allows wounds to be acknowledged without shame, opening the door for healing. Visualization exercises can deepen this healing process. Close your eyes and picture the moments of your childhood that caused you pain. Imagine yourself as the adult you are now, approaching your younger self with love, protection, and understanding. Envision offering comfort, reassurance, and guidance. This act of inner support is transformative. It signals to your subconscious mind that you are capable of nurturing yourself in ways that may not have been possible before. Another key step is identifying patterns of avoidance. Many people unconsciously avoid situations, emotions, or memories that remind them of their childhood wounds. While avoidance can provide temporary relief, it prevents true healing. Begin to notice moments when you feel resistance, discomfort, or defensiveness. Ask yourself, which part of my past is this emotion connected to? By linking present feelings to past experiences, you can address the root causes rather than just the surface reactions. Confronting wounds also involves setting boundaries and redefining relationships. Some childhood wounds stemmed from unhealthy dynamics, emotional manipulation, neglect, or inconsistent support. In adulthood, it is important to recognize which relationships continue to trigger unresolved pain and to establish boundaries that protect your emotional well-being. This may include limiting contact, asserting your needs, or seeking relationships that are supportive and nurturing. Healing wounds is not a linear process. You may experience breakthroughs one day and setbacks the next. This is natural. The key is persistence and patience. Every time you acknowledge a wound, process an emotion, and respond to your inner child with care, you are strengthening resilience and rewriting the narrative of your life. Transformation occurs gradually through consistent awareness and compassionate action. Practical exercises to face your wounds include 1. Journaling your pain. Write about specific childhood events that still evoke emotion. Focus on your feelings, the unmet needs, and how these experiences shaped your adult life. 2. Letter to your inner child. Address your younger self directly, expressing empathy, validation, and understanding for the pain endured. 3. Emotion mapping. Identify recurring adult emotional responses, such as anger, fear, or anxiety, and trace them back to childhood experiences. This helps link present behavior to past wounds. 4. Visualization healing. Imagine embracing your younger self during moments of pain. Offer the love, protection, and guidance they needed. Return to this visualization regularly to strengthen the connection and healing. 5. Affirmations for healing. Repeat affirmations that reinforce self-worth and emotional safety, such as, "I am worthy of love and care." "My past does not define me. I am capable of healing." "I nurture my inner child with compassion and understanding."
Facing your wounds is ultimately an act of courage. It requires looking honestly at your past, embracing uncomfortable emotions, and taking responsibility for your own healing. Yet the rewards are profound: increased self-awareness, emotional resilience, and the ability to cultivate authentic relationships. By confronting the wounds you carry, you free yourself from the unconscious patterns that have limited your growth and begin the journey toward wholeness. Remember that this process is ongoing. Some wounds may require time, reflection, and support from trusted individuals or professionals. Others may heal more quickly through consistent inner work. The goal is not perfection, but connection, reestablishing a relationship with your inner child and providing the understanding, care, and compassion that may have been missing in earlier years. Ultimately, facing your wounds allows you to reclaim your life. The child you once were, who felt unseen, unheard, or unloved, can now be seen, heard, and nurtured. By acknowledging pain, understanding its impact, and responding with care, you transform wounds into wisdom, fear into courage, and vulnerability into strength. Each step brings you closer to becoming the person you have always needed, a compassionate, resilient, and authentic self capable of providing the love and guidance that your younger self deserved. Chapter 4. Reconnecting with compassion. Once you have faced your childhood wounds, the next step is to reconnect with compassion, both for yourself and for the child you once were. Compassion is not merely a feeling, it is an active practice that involves understanding, patience, and intentional care. It is the bridge between awareness and healing, the tool that allows you to nurture your inner child and transform pain into growth. Without compassion, reflection and understanding may remain intellectual exercises, but with it, they become lived experiences that reshape your emotional landscape. Reconnecting with compassion begins with self-awareness. Observe your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors without judgment. Notice moments when you are harsh, critical, or dismissive of yourself. Pay attention to the internal dialogue that arises when you make mistakes, face challenges, or encounter setbacks. Often, this inner voice mirrors the criticism, neglect, or unmet expectations you experienced as a child. Recognizing these patterns is the first step toward transforming them. Self-compassion involves treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding that you would offer a loved one. It means acknowledging your struggles and imperfections without self-criticism. Consider the following reflective prompts. If my younger self were standing here, what would I want to say to them? How would I support a friend going through the same experiences? Am I giving myself permission to feel, to rest, and to heal? Answering these questions honestly allows you to create an internal environment of care and understanding. The more you practice self-compassion, the more natural it becomes to extend the same care to your inner child. One powerful way to reconnect with compassion is through visualization. Close your eyes and imagine your younger self standing before you. Notice their expression, posture, and emotions. Visualize approaching them with warmth, open arms, and a gentle smile. Speak words of comfort and encouragement. I see you. I hear you. You are safe,
loved, and valued. Allow your inner child to respond, acknowledging their feelings and needs. This practice strengthens the bond between your adult self and your younger self, providing a sense of security and validation that may have been missing during childhood. Another effective method is journaling. Writing letters to your inner child allows you to articulate your care, empathy, and understanding. You can explore feelings that were never expressed, offer reassurance, and create a dialogue that fosters connection. For example, I know it was hard when you felt alone or unheard. I want you to know that you were brave and I am here for you now. You deserve love and care, and I will provide that for you every day. Journaling is not only therapeutic, but also a tangible reminder of the commitment you are making to your inner child. Rereading these letters can reinforce feelings of safety, self-worth, and emotional support. Compassion also involves acknowledging your limitations without judgment. Healing is not instantaneous, and some wounds take time to fully process. There may be moments of frustration, sadness, or resistance as you reconnect with your inner child. Accepting these moments with patience and understanding is a vital component of compassionate self-care. Remind yourself, it is okay to feel this way. I am learning and growing at my own pace. In addition to self-compassion, nurturing your inner child may involve practical actions in your daily life. Consider the activities, environments, and routines that bring comfort, joy, and a sense of safety. These can include creative expression, painting, drawing, writing, music, or other forms of art that allow your inner child to express themselves freely. Play and joy. Engaging in hobbies, games, or activities that you loved as a child or have always wanted to try. Rest and self-care. Prioritizing sleep, nutrition, exercise, and relaxation as a form of nurturing your mind and body. Healthy boundaries. Saying no to relationships, tasks, or situations that drain your energy or compromise your well-being. These actions are not indulgent. They are necessary for emotional healing and the development of self-compassion. By actively caring for your inner child, you create an environment where growth, resilience, and authenticity can flourish. Forgiveness is another critical aspect of reconnecting with compassion. This does not mean excusing neglect, criticism, or trauma, nor does it require reconciliation with those who caused harm. Instead, forgiveness is about releasing the emotional burden that binds you to the past. It is the recognition that holding on to anger, resentment, or guilt can prevent you from fully nurturing your inner child. Forgiveness allows you to redirect energy toward healing and growth, rather than toward past pain. Mindfulness can also enhance your connection with compassion. By observing your thoughts and feelings without judgment, you create a space where your inner child can be seen and heard. Mindful practices such as meditation, deep breathing, or simply sitting quietly with your emotions help you stay present and responsive to your inner needs. Over time, mindfulness strengthens emotional regulation, self-awareness, and the ability to respond to yourself with care and understanding. 1. Inner child meditation. Visualize your younger self. Approach them with love and offer reassurance. Spend a few minutes daily nurturing this connection. 2. Compassionate journaling. Write letters or diary entries expressing empathy, understanding, and care for your inner child. Revisit these entries regularly to reinforce self-compassion. 3. Daily affirmations. Repeat statements that reinforce your worth and nurture your inner child, such as, I am worthy of love and care. My feelings are valid and respected. I protect, support, and nurture myself every day. 4. Playful exploration. Dedicate time each week to activities that bring joy, creativity, or curiosity, allowing your inner child to express themselves freely. 5. Boundary setting. Identify areas where your energy is depleted and establish boundaries to protect your well-being. Respecting yourself in this way is an act of compassion. By practicing these exercises consistently, you create a nurturing inner environment that supports emotional healing and personal growth. Compassion is not a one-time act, but a continuous relationship with yourself. It is a commitment to respond to your inner child with understanding, care, and patience day after day. Reconnecting with compassion transforms not only your relationship with your inner child, but also your relationship with yourself and others. As you cultivate empathy for your younger self, you become more empathetic toward your present self and more capable of forming authentic, healthy relationships. Compassion becomes the lens through which you navigate life, allowing you to approach challenges, setbacks, and successes with grace and resilience. Ultimately, this chapter is about bridging the gap between awareness and action. You have reflected on your early years, understood your unmet needs, and faced the wounds that linger. Now, through compassion, you provide the nurturing, validation, and care that your inner child and your adult self deserve. By doing so, you create the foundation for lasting healing, self-love, and authentic growth. Reconnecting with compassion is not a final destination, but an ongoing practice. Each time you respond to yourself with kindness, acknowledge your emotions, or engage in nurturing actions, you strengthen the bond with your inner child. You affirm that your needs matter, your feelings are valid, and you are capable of providing the love and care you may not have received in the past. Through compassion, the child you once were is recognized, supported, and embraced. This reconnection empowers you to move forward with confidence, emotional resilience, and a deeper sense of self-worth. By nurturing your inner child today, you are planting the seeds for a more authentic, fulfilled, and harmonious life tomorrow. 1. Internalizing compassion and validation. The first step in becoming that person is internalizing the compassion and validation you practiced in the previous chapter. Where once you sought approval externally, you now learn to affirm your own worth and acknowledge your feelings. This means consistently responding to yourself with patience, understanding, and empathy. Begin by recognizing moments when your inner critic surfaces. Perhaps you catch yourself thinking, "I'm not good enough," or "I always fail." Instead of accepting these thoughts as truth, respond to them as you would to a child. "I understand you're scared. You are doing your best, and that is enough." Over time, this practice rewires your emotional responses, replacing self-judgment with self-support. Journaling remains a powerful tool here. Record daily experiences in which you nurtured yourself, affirmed your feelings, or responded with compassion. This creates a tangible record of growth, reinforcing the idea that you are capable of being the supportive, loving figure your younger self required. 4. Cultivating joy and play. Many childhood wounds leave a trace of seriousness, perfectionism, or fear of failure. One of the most transformative aspects of becoming the person you needed is reclaiming joy and play, elements of life that nurture curiosity, creativity, and emotional freedom. Engage in activities that bring delight, whether it's painting, hiking, dancing, writing, or simply laughing freely. Treat these moments as essential nourishment, not indulgences. By allowing yourself play and joy, you model for your inner child that happiness is a right, not a reward. You also cultivate a sense of wholeness and balance that fosters overall well-being. 7. Practical exercises for becoming the person you needed. To actively embody the person your inner child needed, integrate these practices into your daily life. 1. Daily check-ins. Ask yourself, what does my inner child need today? Respond with actions or words that provide reassurance, comfort, or joy. 2. Self-care rituals. Establish routines that nurture your mind, body, and spirit, such as meditation, exercise, or creative expression. 3. Affirmation practice. Repeat affirmations like, I am enough. I love and support myself unconditionally. I honor my feelings and needs every day. 4. Reflective journaling. Document moments when you acted in alignment with your inner child's needs. Note progress, insights, and areas for further growth. 5. Visualization. Imagine your younger self observing your adult self. Picture them smiling, feeling safe, loved, and proud of the care you now provide. 8. Integration and lifelong growth. The journey of becoming the person you needed is ongoing. It is not a single achievement, but a lifelong practice of awareness, compassion, and self-care. Each moment of nurturing your inner child, responding with empathy, or honoring your needs strengthens the foundation of your emotional health and personal growth. Integration means taking the lessons from childhood reflection, unmet need awareness, wound-facing, and compassionate practices and embedding them into every aspect of your life. It is about creating a life where your inner child feels safe, loved, and empowered through the adult you have become. Remember, the child you once were is not lost. They live within you. Every choice you make to respond with love, care, and understanding affirms their worth and creates a ripple effect of healing, joy, and resilience. By becoming the person you needed, you transform your past pain into present strength and future possibility. Conclusion. Becoming the person you needed is both an inward journey and a daily commitment. It is about embracing your inner child, validating unmet needs, facing wounds with courage, and cultivating compassion that manifests in actions, habits, and relationships. This process empowers you to rewrite the story of your life, from one of unmet needs to one of wholeness, resilience, and authentic self-expression. As you move forward, remember that every small act of care, every compassionate thought, and every choice aligned with your inner child is a victory. The person you needed as a child is alive in you today. By nurturing, protecting, and loving that child, you create a life of deeper fulfillment, purpose, and emotional freedom. Becoming the person you needed is not the end of the journey. It is the beginning of a life lived consciously, courageously, and compassionately. Every step forward is a testament to your growth, healing, and the unwavering love you now offer to yourself. The power of forgiving yourself. Learning to let go of guilt, shame, and the belief that you're not enough. Chapter 1. Understanding self-forgiveness. Forgiving oneself is one of the most profound yet often overlooked acts of personal growth and emotional freedom. Many people believe forgiveness is only for others, that it involves excusing wrongdoing or pretending the past never happened. But self-forgiveness is neither self-indulgent nor about absolving mistakes without accountability. Instead, it is an intentional act of compassion, understanding, and acceptance, a conscious decision to release the burden of guilt, shame, and self-judgment so that you can move forward with clarity, resilience, and peace. At its core, self-forgiveness is the recognition that being human inherently includes making mistakes. Everyone, at some point, acts in ways they regret, says things they wish they hadn't, or fails to live up to their own standards. These moments, while uncomfortable, do not define your worth. Yet without self-forgiveness, they can weigh heavily on your mind, distorting your self-image and limiting your capacity for growth. Many of us struggle with self-forgiveness because we conflate it with excusing our actions. We tell ourselves, if I forgive myself, I'm weak, or I'll forgive myself only after I've fixed everything I did wrong. These beliefs trap us in cycles of guilt and self-criticism. True self-forgiveness, however, does not ignore responsibility. It acknowledges mistakes, learns from them, and allows for healing without perpetual punishment. It is a process that empowers you to integrate your experiences into wisdom rather than regret. Understanding self-forgiveness begins with examining the emotions that prevent it. Guilt and shame are two of the most powerful barriers. Guilt arises when we recognize that our actions caused harm or were misaligned with our values. While guilt can motivate positive change, it becomes destructive when it lingers, creating unnecessary self-punishment. Shame, on the other hand, targets the self rather than the action, convincing you that you are inherently flawed. Shame whispers, "I am unworthy. I am a bad person," whereas guilt says, "I made a mistake." Distinguishing between these two is critical, because forgiveness addresses actions, guilt, and cultivates compassion for the self, shame. Another obstacle to self-forgiveness is perfectionism. When you hold yourself to impossibly high standards, every misstep feels catastrophic. Perfectionists often struggle to forgive themselves because they see mistakes as failures that invalidate their worth. Understanding that imperfection is part of the human experience is essential. Mistakes do not diminish your value. They provide opportunities to learn, grow, and strengthen emotional resilience. Self-forgiveness is also closely tied to accountability. Some fear forgiving themselves will lead to complacency or repeated mistakes, yet the opposite is true. Forgiveness allows you to acknowledge your errors, reflect on them honestly, and make conscious decisions to act differently in the future. It creates a foundation for authentic growth rooted in self-awareness and responsibility rather than fear or self-recrimination. A practical first step in understanding self-forgiveness is reflection. Consider moments when you have felt guilt, shame, or regret. Identify what specifically caused these feelings and explore the underlying emotions. Ask yourself, what am I feeling guilty or ashamed about? Was my reaction proportionate to the situation? Am I holding on to this pain unnecessarily? What can I learn from this experience? Journaling can be a powerful tool during this process. Writing allows you to articulate complex emotions, observe patterns in your thinking, and gain clarity about the events that demand forgiveness. Use your journal to explore both your mistakes and your responses to them. Focus not only on what went wrong, but also on your intentions, circumstances, and personal growth opportunities. Self-forgiveness is ultimately an act of compassion. Compassion here is not indulgence or weakness. It is understanding the human condition, accepting your imperfections, and extending empathy to yourself. Consider how you would respond to a close friend who made the same mistakes. Would you condemn them endlessly, or would you acknowledge their errors, offer support, and encourage growth? Self-forgiveness requires treating yourself with the same empathy and patience you would offer others. Mindfulness can further enhance your understanding of self-forgiveness. By observing your thoughts and emotions without judgment, you create a space where healing becomes possible. Notice when guilt or shame arises and acknowledge it. I feel guilty about this. It's a sign I care, but I can respond with understanding rather than punishment. This awareness allows you to separate your identity from your mistakes, reinforcing the idea that your worth is inherent, not conditional on perfection.
Visualization exercises can strengthen your capacity for self-forgiveness. Close your eyes and imagine the situation or action you regret.
Visualize yourself as both the observer and the participant, seeing the event with clarity and compassion. Offer words of reassurance to yourself. I am human. I made a mistake, and that does not define me. I can learn and move forward. Repeat this visualization until feelings of guilt and shame begin to soften. Forgiveness is a process, not a single act. You may find that guilt or shame resurfaces repeatedly. This is normal. What matters is your response each time. Notice the emotion, acknowledge it, and intentionally release it. Over time, this practice weakens the grip of negative emotions and reinforces your ability to respond to yourself with empathy and care. Another key element in understanding self-forgiveness is recognizing your growth. Every mistake, misjudgment, or lapse is an opportunity to evolve. Reflect on how your experiences have shaped your character, improved your understanding, and increased your resilience. By reframing past mistakes as teachers rather than punishers, you shift the focus from blame to learning. This perspective is crucial for integrating self-forgiveness into your life. Practical exercises for understanding self-forgiveness include reflective journaling. Write about a mistake or regret, focusing on your feelings, intentions, and lessons learned. Compassionate letter. Address yourself as you would a loved one, offering understanding, support, and reassurance. Mindfulness observation. Notice guilt or shame when it arises, acknowledge it without judgment, and consciously release it. Visualization. Picture the situation you regret and extend compassion to yourself as both observer and participant. Affirmations. Use statements like, I am human, and making mistakes is part of growth. I am worthy of forgiveness, compassion, and love. I release guilt and embrace learning and growth. By engaging in these exercises, you create a foundation for lasting self-forgiveness. You move from a mindset of punishment and regret to one of learning, acceptance, and empowerment. The process teaches that mistakes are not barriers to worthiness. They are opportunities to demonstrate resilience, empathy, and growth. Understanding self-forgiveness also requires patience. Emotional healing does not happen instantly. Some regrets or shame may linger for years, and it is natural to feel resistance when attempting to release them. Recognize that each small step toward self-forgiveness is significant. Over time, these incremental steps accumulate, creating profound emotional freedom and a renewed sense of self-worth. Finally, self-forgiveness is a lifelong practice. Each new challenge, mistake, or lapse is an opportunity to reinforce the habit of responding with compassion and understanding. By cultivating this practice consistently, you build emotional resilience, deepen self-awareness, and strengthen your capacity to love and accept yourself unconditionally. In conclusion, understanding self-forgiveness is the first step towards emotional liberation. It involves recognizing the distinction between guilt and shame, acknowledging mistakes without self-condemnation, practicing compassion and mindfulness, and integrating learning and growth into your life. Self-forgiveness is not a destination. It is a continual journey of awareness, acceptance, and empathy. By embracing self-forgiveness, you release the heavy weight of guilt and shame, reclaim your sense of worth, and create space for personal growth, healing, and emotional freedom. This chapter lays the groundwork for the journey ahead, learning to let go of past mistakes, cultivating compassion, and ultimately becoming the person you always needed to be for yourself. Chapter 2. The Weight of Guilt and Shame. Guilt and shame are two of the heaviest emotional burdens a person can carry. They are closely related, yet fundamentally different, and understanding their distinctions is crucial for self-forgiveness. Both have the power to distort your perception of yourself, influence your choices, and limit your ability to experience joy. Yet they are also natural human responses, emotions that signal a desire for integrity, connection, or moral alignment. Understanding guilt arises when we believe we have done something wrong or failed to meet our own moral or ethical standards. It is tied to actions, behaviors, or decisions, and often motivates reflection, accountability, and corrective action. For example, if you spoke harshly to a friend or neglected a responsibility, guilt may arise as a signal to make amends or change your behavior. While guilt can serve a functional purpose, it becomes destructive when it persists unnecessarily. Lingering guilt creates a mental loop of self-blame, replaying mistakes over and over without allowing for resolution. In this state, guilt is no longer about accountability, it becomes a heavy weight that restricts your emotional freedom. Understanding shame. Shame, by contrast, targets the self rather than actions. Where guilt says, "I did something wrong," shame says, "I am wrong." Shame convinces you that your mistakes reflect a fundamental flaw in your character, rather than simply being human missteps. This belief can be corrosive, leading to self-doubt, fear of intimacy, and avoidance of vulnerability. People who experience chronic shame often hide aspects of themselves, fearing judgment or rejection. It's essential to recognize that guilt can be resolved through action and forgiveness, while healing shame requires internal compassion and acceptance. You may forgive your actions, but healing shame requires changing the deep-seated belief that you are unworthy. The origins of guilt and shame. Guilt and shame often begin in childhood. When a child is harshly criticized, punished inconsistently, or made to feel unworthy, they internalize messages that become lifelong patterns. Cultural and societal expectations also contribute, reinforcing standards of perfection, achievement, and moral behavior that are often unrealistic. Consider how these early experiences shape adult life. Perhaps you were told, "You always mess things up," or "You should be ashamed of yourself." Even subtle remarks or conditional love can instill guilt and shame, teaching the young mind that mistakes define worthiness. Over time, these internalized messages manifest as self-criticism, fear of failure, or avoidance of opportunities. The effects of guilt and shame affect every aspect of life. 1. Mental and emotional health. Chronic guilt and shame can lead to anxiety, depression, and low self-esteem. The constant inner criticism depletes emotional energy and reduces resilience. 2. Relationships. Shame often leads to hiding, defensiveness, or difficulty trusting others, while guilt may result in overcompensation or people-pleasing. Both can hinder authentic connections. 3. Decision-making and growth. When weighed down by guilt or shame, you may avoid risks, suppress desires, or self-sabotage. Fear of judgment or repeating mistakes limits personal and professional growth. 4. Physical health. Emotional burdens manifest in the body. Chronic stress, tension, insomnia, and weakened immunity can be linked to unprocessed guilt and shame.